Yeah, Aditya, hi. Thanks for joining. Sorry, Vamshi, we kept you waiting for some time. Got unfortunately. Could you tell a bit about yourself and the kind of projects you've done till now?
Yeah, sure, Risha. So, thanks for the thing. So, myself, Krishna, and coming to my skill set, coming to my experience, I have 5 years of experience in IT industry, and out of 5 years, I started working as a Java developer for last 4 years onwards. So, the relevant experience I have 4 years experience in Java and JTU related technologies. And coming to company's point of view, earlier I worked for the Wipro company, and currently I'm working as part of the Cognizant. And as part of the project level experience, yes, I had a good experience with the project development point of view. Even in current project, I got a chance to work with the Spring Boot and as well as this microservices architecture project. So as part of my career development point of view, I gained knowledge with respect to Spring Boot and microservices as well as with the current project also. And I have a good experience with the how to consumption and as well as producing point of restful web services also, along with the JUnit, writing JUnits as part of the code coverage and everything. And coming to current project, yes, it is clearly implemented based on the microservices architecture with the Spring Boot framework technology. And coming to it is, I'm just working for the client called as Carelon Technologies, which is healthcare domain. They are implementing some virtual pharmacy application. As part of that, couple of order processing microservices related. My team is taking care. So there I have implemented couple of REST services, as well as we used to consume REST services from other microservices also.
Okay, sure, thank you. Which microservice pattern are you using in developing the microservices in the current project?
Just we are following the basic architecture, like as part of we are using services history and as well as this config server concept. So the basics, whatever we are using in Spring Boot microservices architecture, right? So basics structure only we are following, not any other specific design patterns. Just for service registration, service registry, and configuration purpose, we are using only config server. And the remaining things and all we are taking care manually, like logging as part of integrated for this Splunk mechanism.
Okay. Okay. And any other things like apart from Splunk that are being used on this project?
Yeah, that's what I implemented config server in earlier stage. I involved as part of the config server implementation to externalize the configuration of microservices data, configuration data. So I was part of implementation config server.
Okay. Okay. Which year did you pass out in?
So I just passed out in 2016.
2016. And you have a 5-year experience. So was there some gap somewhere?
Yeah, 16 to 18 I have a gap.
Okay. 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 Maybe. Yeah, you can ask some questions, Aditya.
Hi, Vamsi.
Yeah, hi.
So, Vamsi, do you know what is marker interface in Java?
Yes, Aditya. So marker interface is all about a interface which doesn't contains any abstract methods or any methods. So generally, the known one, predefined one, I aware of it is serializable. So that just like marking the marking the classes for the purpose we will use marker interfaces. No abstract method, simply.
No abstract method or like any methods?
Any methods.
What does it contain?
It's just like empty body as part of the interface. So generally it will be used to collect.
Empty body, why it is used?
Yeah, that is what. So for example, if you take in the serializable, right, whenever we want to make serialization process, whatever the classes implemented the serializable interface, those objects only as part of the serialization process. Like similarly, if I created my own custom interface, I mean marker interface, something like animal interface animal, and whatever the classes and whatever the instances related to that animal, whoever is implemented the animal interface, those objects I want to collect, then the family related. So then marker interface we can use. That is what I understood.
What is serialization?
Serialization is a process like where we are reading the current, in the runtime level, we are just reading the current object status, the instances into a file format, in a data format, and then we can deserialize the same thing into another server's level. Reading the current state of instances and just again deserializing in opposite action.
What is serial version UID like in serialization?
Sorry?
Serial version UID. Have you heard of that?
UID, yeah, some unique ID will be there.
So what is the impact if I do not define any serial version UID?
One second. Abhishek, how many years of experience gap do you have?
2 years.
In education or career gap?
In between education to career.
Okay. Maybe it's from career to education. It's career gap is fine for 2 years maximum.
Okay, and total experiences?
5+ years of experience. Relevant in Java is 4.
Before that, what were you working on?
I started, they hired me as a tester. They given a lot of testing work. I worked as a manual testing, and in the same, then I got a chance to work with the development part, and I started working as a developer.
Okay, that was in Wipro.
Yeah, Wipro level, yes.
Wipro. Okay, sure. Thank you. Sorry, Aditya, can go in.
Yeah, no problem. So, what will be the impact if I do not define any serial version UID in my class, which is part of the serialization process?
So, UID, generally we used to take the random UID, whatever is creating in our implementation level, but impact wise, not that much idea because practically not done.
Okay, okay. So can you tell me the internal working of hashset?
Hashset. Okay, so with my knowledge, hashset is working internally with the help of hash map again, because hashset functionality is allowing only unique values, avoiding the duplicate values. So when we are trying to insert duplicate values, but generally internally it is using hash map. But internally hash map, what is again hash map functionality? It will maintain only unique keys is the concept as part of the hash map. So whenever we added a value to the hash set, that will be treated as key value for the hash map internally. Like that, it is using again hash map functionality internally.
So any particular object which you will be comparing, if that the object which you are inserting is already present, like what logic internally is there?
So I think for that,
hashset does not allow duplicate, that it will check, but how does it check internally?
Okay, so for that we need to override the equals and hash code methods for the object, the custom objects, whatever we are trying to insert, right? Equals and hash code methods we have to override with the equality of the object by verifying the content kind of thing.
Okay. So any thing about how JVM works? Like JVM loads the classes and all that.
JVM just generally whenever we are trying to load the dot classes, right? So it will be loaded into the JVM memory, and internally we are having some memories like heap memory. Heap memory will be utilized for the purpose of object instances storing and all instance related data, object related and object variables data point of view. And there is we have one more memory section like Parmesan space memory. There it is permanent memory point of view, and it is there we are going to load all static content related data, the global kind of data that is across common for all instances. And yeah, so that is what internally the memory management point of view, that is how I understood in the JVM.
And so have you also written any JUnit test case?
Yeah, I written a couple of JUnits in current project by using.
To exclude any test method which you have written, how do you exclude that from the framework?
Okay, some annotation we have. One of the test case we want to exclude, we have an annotation something like skip or when we have an annotation so that those test methods will be skipped from the test execution.
What is that annotation?
At the rate disable. I mean, no, not disable.
Okay.
I forgot the name, but sorry.
At the rate ignore.
Yes, ignore only, I think.
Okay, so what does component at the rate component does in Spring Boot Spring application?
Component at the rate component, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so generally the Spring, as part of Spring core module point of view or Spring framework point of view, a component is becoming as a bean class. That means when we marked a class with at the rate component, that class considered as a bean class. That means whenever we loaded the Spring project into memory level, right? So container will read that class information and Spring container will create object for that class, and that object lifecycle is managed by the Spring container. And whenever we want that object into another object's level, so generally we can go with the concept called as auto-wide dependency injection concept. Simply we will define what is the dependency we want into another class's level, like at the rate auto-wide and that respective component class name, so that that object is injected by the IOC container.
And what do you think whether Spring Bean is a thread safe or like it is a thread safe or it is not a thread safe?
Thread safe in the sense, by default bean object is creating as a singleton bean object. So that means whenever it is a singleton by default behaves as a thread safe. So from that point I can say like maybe Spring Bean object will become thread safe.
But if it is singleton also, I can like breach using multi-threading. I can create multiple objects for that Spring Bean using multi-threading.
Yeah.
Do you give a guarantee that it is thread safe?
By default, every bean object created as a singleton bean object. So that means the object will not be modified and the same object will be returned back to the instances level in the dependency level.
And what is the inversion of control in Spring?
What is?
IOC in Spring.
Yeah, IOC in a Spring is inversion of control is all about a principle where it is talking about dependency management, dependency injection. So the dependency injection concept is saying like whatever the dependencies generally we have with respect to our programming level. So instead of we are creating the dependency instances into our logic level, we are moving that part to the container level. So as part of the IOC principle, it is saying like inversionally control. So that means the control of object creation happened in inverse manner. That means that is taken care by the IOC Spring container. And whenever we want objects, instead of we are using new operator into our logic level, we are getting those objects, or we are just defining like, okay, I want this dependency object into so and so object. Then container inversely injecting that object in our dependency level.
So can you share your screen and open a notepad?
Okay.
I'll enter some question. Are you aware of Java 8 streaming?
Yes, I started using Java 8 features, yes.
Okay.
Okay. So what was the question?
Yeah, I'm typing. Using string, you have to write a small sample logic for printing the maximum salary of an employee from each department, and you have to return the department-wise salary. Suppose you have the list of employees.
Okay. Okay, so from this generally for collecting maximum salary from the employee object
From each department.
for each department. So for filtering department wise, we will use a filter method for filter operation to get the department's data one by one.
Okay.
No. For everything we can take map also for every department for each, and then from the map once we are getting that again we will get one more stream object, right? On top of that we will apply collectors concept, which is given as part of this Java 8. So in the collectors we have a predefined method, something like maximum method, and as part of maximum we can call the specific employee salary method. So collect
Also write down that
okay.
logic.
Okay. So maybe we can write down in this format.
say like list of all the employees whose salary is greater than 10,000 and print the list of employee names from that.
So this is all right. Greater than 10,000, we need to print the names.
Yes. Dot collect collectors dot to list. Only this part what you will get in return.
So as part of the collect, right, I will get list of employee objects.
Okay, then what you will do to get the names of that employee?
So which are greater than 10,000 I will get. Then I am trying to iterate again by using for each method.
You can directly use map, no? Why you are iterating? And map them with the
Okay. Even stream dot map, yeah, filter will give stream object. Then we will go for the again map method e dot. So yeah, we can write down system dot println of so down e dot get name, something like that. Yes, we can write down map method also.
So have you also worked on microservices?
I just started working as part of the microservices. I just have a basic knowledge of microservices now because I involved right now in the current project.
So how do you communicate between two microservices? Any idea?
So generally,
Different ways to communicate.
communication point of view, like for example, when what we are doing is when we are consuming other third-party services, generally we are using REST template approach. In the current project, they are using REST template approach. And when it comes as part of our internal microservices, sometimes both services are available in the same under the same project, right? So then we are using sometimes fin clients also. We are integrating a fin client concept, and as part of the fin client, we are providing service ID of the microservice, and then based on that, they are enabling the communication between microservices. So REST template or fin client, two options are using in my project.
So any idea on deployment in Docker or Kubernetes?
Deployment wise, generally we have a portal which is provided by the DevOps point of view. So it is all just like what we are doing. We are accessing that portal. It's just like user friendly portal, like we are calling it as WorkOS. And there we are just providing our microservice details. I mean the service name, and we are just selecting our specific environment, and we are making the deployments. But CI/CD point of view, personally, implementation point of view, I don't have much knowledge, but I just try to understand how the build is happening, how they integrated in the workvoice point of view. That is what I have an idea. And we are using some of the places Docker Compose files to make sure local setup of some of the microservices, especially in the Kafka area point of view. So even I just had a basic knowledge of Docker nowadays, how the Compose is working and all what is happening. That is what I'm trying to get knowledge nowadays. I'm getting that.
Okay, thank you, Vamsi. Yeah, Isha, I'm done with this interview. You can please proceed.
Speaking on mute. Sorry. Okay, Vamsi, I think, which location are you based out of?
Hyderabad location.
Hyderabad, okay. And you have mainly worked on backend. If we want to, would you be interested? What's your aspiration? You want to continue in backend or?
No, not like that. If getting any opportunity, I can consider as a full stack also, because nowadays the demand is going more for the full stack. So definitely, I'm trying to opt, aspiring for the full stack skill set as well as to upcoming. I mean, to scale up with future opportunities and all.
Okay, and how about supposing we want you to try learn some things in microservices, say some patterns, etc., which you're not aware of right now, but you have worked on Spring Boot, right?
Yes, we are using Spring Boot.
Okay, so maybe let's just quickly check that, Aditya, a bit.
Okay. So in Spring Boot, what are the basic annotations you have used, Vamsi?
As part of application implementation point of view, basically that is what REST. When we are implementing, I implemented a couple of REST services. So we used to go with @REST controller when we are defining controller level, and after that service classes @service repository for service layer and repository layer, and we used to go for the entity by using Spring Boot JPA. So entity classes, table annotations, all these things. These are all regular basic annotations we are using, and sometimes we are writing our own component classes, even @configuration classes also, where we are creating bean objects. So that is what configuration
What advantage did you felt after moving from Spring to Spring Boot?
First and foremost thing is
why we have Spring Boot.
Yeah. So what I understood when I migrated from Spring to Spring Boot, even my personal point of view. So first and foremost thing is the project setup is very crucial in Spring point of view. Generally, when we want to make a project setup, it is all about compatibility of the versions, jar files, and what and all we require for the project. For example, especially if I want to support JSON data format in REST services and all, we have to collect all the dependencies, and at the same time, we should worry about the compatibility. But when it comes to the Spring Boot point of view, they automated everything, auto-configured everything as part of every requirement dependency point of view. For example, if I choose an MVC module, they are giving a starter concept and they auto-configured everything, what and all really required for the MVC module. So project setup point of view, I felt like very comfortable with the Spring Boot. It is saving lot of time, and as well as something testing point of view, development when I am doing the testing also, right? So generally we have a dependency of the Tomcat servers. If it is Spring framework, we need to go for the external servers and all, but Spring Boot by default providing the integrated server and all. So that is also one of the biggest advantage I saw from the Spring Boot point of view. And when the third most thing is property based configuration in the Spring Boot. So Spring Boot is just like enabled everything in property based configuration point of view. Like I used to feel like filling the blanks. I'm just filling my blanks and I'm getting my work done. So kind of comfort I got with this Spring Boot. So it is making especially a project setup, project management, all these things are very easy when comparing with the Spring. But when you are taking logic wise, functionalities wise, technically Spring and Spring Boot both are same, because just like Spring Boot is a wrapper on top of Spring framework.
So have you used any CRUD operation like on any Spring Boot application? If suppose I want to accept an employee ID from REST client, and so which method I will invoke in the CRUD operation.
Yeah, so generally we used to follow same CRUD operation policies, like when generally we want to get a resource ID like employee ID and we want to fetch details, right? So in such kind of scenarios, if it is related to read operation, we used to go for the get method, where we are just taking as either, I mean, we are mostly considering it as a path variable. We are defining a path variable as part of the URI, and and we define HTTP method as a get. So then it is all about fetch operation, read operations.
That is the HTTP method, okay? Get.
Okay.
I'm asking what are the CRUD operation you will define in your DAO layer. There is a service controller layer which will face the REST client. Then you have a service layer. Then you have a DAO layer.
Yeah, DAO layer.
If
Yes.
I want to fetch an employee with some ID which I am passing from REST client. So like what method will you?
Oh, okay. So repository, generally we will create a JPA repository, right? So in the repository we have predefined methods as part of that. Find by ID. Generally, if it is a primary key column, then we will use find by ID method in the repository level.
And have you defined any custom exception in your project? How you will handle that?
Custom exceptions, I did not define much. Just I know how to that, but we are handling exceptions with respect to MVC module point of view. Some I can see. I mean, in my project, they already it is implemented controller advice concept. So as part of controller advice, we are handling the exceptions related to REST services point of view. I mean, MVC module point of view. There inside that we are defining exception handlers. So as part of exception handler, whatever the method, whatever the exception is raising, and how we are going to handle that exception, what kind of user defined message we are displaying when that exception raises, kind of controller advice exception handling we are doing in my project.
Okay. And if suppose I want to change my embedded server in the application, then what configuration changes I need to do in a Spring Boot application?
Date.
Embedded server, if I want to change it.
Oh, okay. We want to make sure like external server.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, with experience, I never done practically. We are not done the name, but I think we have to extend some web external like config server. Something is there. We have to extend or implement a class or interface, and then we will define the details there, and then we will create a war file and can deploy into external server. We have to take some 1 or 2 extra steps.
Will you not change anything in the Maven library?
Yeah, that is what we think. By default, it will be created as jar file generally in Spring Boot point of view. But we need to externalize it, then we have to create it as a war file. I think we have to, in Maven level, we have to make sure it is creating as a war file setup and all. That is what I'm gaining.
How do you change that jar to war or war to jar?
In Maven, we will define, right, how the artifact has to be created after build.
Using which annotation or anything, like which keyword?
Artifact ID grouping.
Okay, and suppose so it is a packaging, okay?
Package in general, yes.
So if suppose I want to remove some of the dependencies from my POM, even POM.jar. So what like a keyword which you will use? I want to not use those things. Like I want to remove them. So I don't erase them. I just want to add one tag.
Okay, instead of deleting, we just need to add a tag, and it should not be. It is equals to deleted point of view, right?
Yeah.
Okay. No idea with that pom.xml point of view.
We will use exclusion tag, okay?
Yeah, something I mean, I'm unable to remember it, but yes, something is there, yes. Yeah, might be exclusion.
And any idea how you will connect multiple data sources into your microservices? Suppose you have different microservices and you want each microservice to connect with a different database, a dedicated kind of thing. So how you will configure?
No idea about that, because we are using only individual, only one database specific only, but we are using like a profile based production. I mean, different environment, different profiles point of view. We are written the configuration things and as well as property files. That is what I am aware of it.
As you said, profiling. So what is that profiling?
Profiling is all about enabling configuration specific to a environment specific. Generally, we in our development time we will have different environments, right? So development, sit and UAT as well as production. So whatever the configuration data has to enable with respect to development, we will have some type of configuration values like database details, username, passwords. When it is moving from dev to UAT to prod, the things values will change. So to enable that specific environment data configuration, we are using a concept profiles in the Spring Boot level. So we are creating like application hyphen dev, application hyphen kind of thing, as well as in when we are defining bean objects also as part of configuration class, which bean object has to create as part of which profile. We are using there also at coding level also we are using profile concepts.
And what is difference between controller and @REST controller?
Okay, so controller versus @REST controller. Generally, what I observed is when we are using @controller, when we are implementing REST services, especially, we have to define @response body on top of the URI method level. Okay, to convert that method return value as a response. But if you are using @REST controller, we no need to use @response body at a URI method level. But if when you are using @controller and if you are not using @response body, then it is trying to look for the something like view layer. That is what I gone through my practice level. So it is just looking for the view resolver point of view. So which JSP file it has to load. It is involving kind of thing, but generally REST services point of view, when you want to make it as a response object with respect to JSON type and all, generally you will define @response body along with @controller. But if you use @REST controller, no need to define @response body at every URI method level in the same controller.
Okay, and do you know what is idempotency in HTTP methods?
Yeah, idempotency theory point of I am aware of it. I just gone through the things. So idempotency, which is saying like the concept is, for example, what I understood is when we are deleting the resources. For example, I deleted a record with employee ID 1, and then again I am trying to delete. I sent one more request again for the delete 1. So by the time already that one employee is deleted, right? So but when I am sending the second time, the resource is not available. So there the thing coming called as idempotency.
Okay, so is delete method idempotent or it is not idempotent?
Delete comes under the idempotent only, because that is what, right? So it just when we are trying to execute same request again with same resource ID, it is trying to give like a throwing kind of exception. Generally, if you are not following anything, because not found resource ID something. So delete comes under the idempotency. That is what I came to know that. But practically, I need to improve something because I did not get a chance to make it as a practical experience.
Okay, thank you. So Isha, you can please.
Sure. So I think thanks for your time, Mamshi. What is some of the most important or the biggest challenge that you have faced while developing code, and how can you go about solving it?
So challenging point of view, and then first when I joined into the current project, right, microservices architecture. Generally, I found some understanding problem with the current architecture as the present project. The reason is when I moved to this project, they had me as a just only knowing Spring person. Then I joined into here. It is all microservices point of view. So when I just need to ramp up with the project work, I suffered a little bit. I mean, suffered in the sense it is all about lack of knowledge of microservices. Then I just started learning personally, and I just got the basic knowledge of microservices. And then same thing I'm trying to apply at my project level. That is what one thing I faced at one point of time. And coming to requirement implementation point of view, so sometimes whenever, yes, with my experience, like around 3 to 4 years of experience, whenever I'm getting something like streaming servers, something like Kafka, all these kind of things, right? So I used to feel like what are these new items, and I never heard these kind of items, and I mean I never heard these kind of technically terminology or maybe functionality, whatever it is. So then I used to feel like, okay, so something new is coming and I need to take care of it and all. So there I used to face some problem how to consume the topics, how to take care of these things. There also I encountered some of the problem, but after keep on making my progress with respect to personal and project point of view, I got a good knowledge. I'm trying to gaining the knowledge step by step. So whenever it is involving new things, generally I'm facing a little bit challenge over there.
Okay, but you're open to learn more, right?
Yeah, yes.
Okay. Okay, sure. Thank you, Vamshi. Yeah, Indurul, can we go ahead, please? What is your location preference?
Yeah, Hyderabad, or if possible, I mean, or else I can move to Bangalore also.
Okay, Hyderabad.
Okay.
Sorry. Thank you, Vamshi.
Okay,
Thank you. Have a
Vamshi.
good day.
Yeah, thank you.